Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. This is Fishing with Fishko. I'm your host Kevin. Today I wanted to talk about one of the best baits I use for creek fishing. And I am talking about the Trout Magnet Hellgramite. Stay tuned. Now, growing up in pretty much the mountains of Pennsylvania, fishing for smallmouth bass in little creeks around dams and stuff like that, this is the #1 bait. Not this one specifically, but real Hellgramites. Real Hellgramites, they are disgusting. They are gross little larvae. They're not very little. I've used some as big as 5 inches, but they are disgusting. They're nasty. They pinch. They hurt really bad. Now, I've been hurt by crayfish and Hellgramites. Hellgramites, they freaking hurt, man. Hellgramites, they live under rocks pretty much in the creeks. You'd lift up a rock, you'd find crayfish for bait, you'd find Hellgramites, but man, you got to be careful grabbing these things because they can wrap their whole body around, and they will catch your finger or your hand, and they freaking hurt. Now, Hellgramite is actually a larvae of a bug called a Dobson fly. I've never seen a Dobson fly in person, and I'm glad, because they are also disgusting. You think this thing's bad? A Dobson fly is this times 10. So anyway, growing up with using Hellgramites as bait, you catch bass, smallmouth and largemouth. You can catch bluegill, sunfish, crappie, perch. I've even caught catfish on them. I was in Dick's Sporting Goods one day and I saw this thing there. I was like, oh, I got to get that. And I went up to my childhood cabin and I fished around the dam with this thing. And man, I caught some nice bass that day. A couple 2 and 3 pound smallmouth bass. This is as good as it gets if you're not using the live Hellgramites. But the way I rig it up is I just have a 1/16 ounce jig head here. You got to do this very carefully because this is, you can see, this is a very thin plastic lure. So the way I do it is go through the head, make sure you get it all the way up the bend of that jig head, and then you come out of the body there. It doesn't have to be extremely straight, because this thing, the bass see this thing in the creeks and they annihilate it. But there you go. It's a straight hooked Hellgramite on a jig head. And I was just casting it out there, letting it sink down, hit the bottom, jig it up a couple times, and I was getting crushed all the time. This was late summer, so obviously right now I'm not sure if this will work, but late summer this thing was annihilating them. Anyway, this is just a quick video I wanted to show you of the Trout Magnet Hellgramite. Now, I know there's other Hellgramites. I want to try the other ones because there's some made with the Elastec material, and the Elastec material floats. This does not. When this sinks and it hits, it pretty much just lays flat. So you got to keep it moving. But the Elastec material floats, and it'll actually sit upright like that. And then you can move it around. So that might be another video when I get a chance to try them. So anyway, this has been Fishing with Fishko. I'm your host, Kevin. Peace out.